This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to A Sharp Outlook on K4HD Radio and Talk or TV. I am Angela Sharp, your host. Our armchair discussions with industry experts will give you the steps, tools, and information to be successful in business and to prepare you to be your best self. Hello, I'm Angela Sharp, and welcome to A Sharp Outlook. Today we're going to talk about starting again, and there are helping hands to help you start again. Nonprofit organizations offer crucial support for low-income, homeless, veterans, neurodivergent, and people with disabilities. They offer housing, they offer food, utilities, jobs, emergency aid, counseling, and guidance. They often work alongside with federal programs like SNAP and WIC for nutrition, as well as job training programs and youth development and housing stability. These organizations are the bridge to stability and change in the lives of those in the greatest need. Through partnering with other agencies and programs, they are committed and dedicated to ensuring that every household has a pathway to stability and security. They work to help families make ends meet until a more sustainable future for themselves and loved ones is achieved. I like to consider them that they are angels on earth that are helping those that really are in desperate situations. We have a guest who is working in the trenches with those who need someone to lean on until their lives have become more stable. We all sometime need someone to lean on at a point in our lives. Sometimes it's a parent, family member, friends, and even strangers. Those helping hands are there to give help to those that need to start again. We all are people of this home called Earth. And if there is a need, we should ask ourselves, how can I make a difference? How can I help those that have just been, everything they own has been taken from floods? How can I help when tornadoes and hurricanes come in and hit certain areas of the country? We have to think about everyone being a part of our family and allowing our helping hands to reach out to others. My guest today is Nikki Ponder. She is the founder and executive director of Kennedy Calling. Nikki is a dedicated advocate, community leader, and visionary founder of Kennedy Calling, a Colorado-based nonprofit committed to empowering underserved women and families. With a deep background in nonprofit sector, Nikki focuses her work on bringing the gap for the underprivileged, helping them recognize their inherent potential while directly addressing the systemic inequalities that have historically marginalized her community. As a champion for maternal health and economic stability, Nikki provides a true village for mothers. Under her leadership, Kennedy Calling helps women obtain critical work resources and baby essentials, ensuring no mother has to choose between her career and her child's needs. Nikki's impact extends into the halls of the state capitol, where she has been driving force behind landmark legislation that protects the dignity and health of mothers. One piece of legislature, HB 23-1187, Alternative Options for Pregnant and Postpartum People, Nikki was instrumental in Passing this historic alternative sentencing bill, the law creates a rebuttable presumption against detention for pregnant and postpartum individuals, directing the justice system to prioritize health and family bonding over incarceration for up to 1 year after birth. Another piece of legislation, SB 23 288, coverage for doula services, a fierce advocate for birth equality. Nikki helped secure Medicaid coverage for doula services in Colorado. This law ensures that low income and underserved women have access to trained birth companions, a critical step in reducing maternal mortality rates within marginalized communities. And another piece of legislation was SB 21 193, protection of pregnant people in the parental period. Nikki supported this birth equity bill, which protects the human rights of incarcerated pregnant people by strictly limiting the use of restraints and ensuring access to doulas and maternal health specialists while in custody. Through her dual focus on immediate community needs and high level policy changes, Nikki Ponder is reshaping the landscape of reproductive justice and economic empowerment. I would like to bring this fantastic advocate to our show right now. Welcome, Nikki.
Hello, hello. Thank you. That was amazing.
You're amazing. You are really out there doing what needs to be done to help people that don't have the voice to be able to make changes to protect themselves and to help themselves and things like that. And it's just wonderful to see helping hands out there making a phenomenal difference. Through your organization, Kennedy Calling, I just want to know, what does Kennedy Calling mean?
That Kennedy Collin, I mean, that's a name near and dear to me. Basically, my daughter's middle name, and the fact that she's always calling my name. So I want that to represent in the community as well. That you can always call us, and we will provide some sort of help that you will need.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, just think about it. You know, a child is always looking for the mother or the adult to help them with their needs. And so Kennedy is calling when there's been floods. Kennedy is calling when there's been tornadoes. Kennedy is calling when there's been an earthquake. We can hear Kennedy's voice. The thing is, are we going to answer when Kennedy calls? You know, that's what's really, really important. How do those in need find that help to start again?
Well, if you're in the Colorado area, we serve all 64 counties. You can
Mhm.
always reach out to info@kencall.org. We shortened it to Ken Call because I don't want anybody to misspell anything. I want you to be able to reach us and get the help that you need,
Mhm.
because Kennedy is spelled so many different ways, right? So,
Right.
info@kencall.org. We have a resource hotline, and we also have additional resources that we will partner with other nonprofits. We're not good with just handing you off, hey, call this number, hey, call that number. We do a very warm transfer so that we can make sure you receive your needs. Your
Oh,
needs are being met.
yeah, that is, I mean, this is a hands-on that you're providing. You know, most of them you just call, you just end up in another number that called and you're just in line and maybe somebody will find that pad of paper or the notes in the system or whatever and finally get around to you. And most people have to call 4 or 5 more times. But for you to take that time to make sure they get that connection, wow, that is so, that's love.
It,
I,
it does feel that way, right? When you call and it just feels like you're kind of bugging someone and you're
mhm,
left unloved and you're left like out there in the world uncared for. That
right.
doesn't sound like a child calling for the mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even with the faintest voice, if a child calls for their mother, the mother's gonna hear it.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And we ought to be thinking that same way. My child is calling, and I hear her, and I hear him, and I need to do something at this moment uh,
Yes.
to make a difference in their lives. Some of the services that Kennedy Calling offers, like food assistance, education, housing, healthcare, and resource. Like you said, you have the resource hotline. Are there some criteria that has to be met um, to receive those needs?
Well, we do want you full on inside of our program because we want our hands wrapped completely around you. So,
Mm-hmm.
let's say if you need help with trying to figure out a career path or those sort of things, you want to be a CNA or a LPN or a legal secretary. We don't want you to just keep coming back just because there's no plan. We want you to come back while you're creating a plan, making a plan, and executing that plan into the
Mm-hmm.
right direction. Because we don't want to be like your help forever. We understand people need help, and in this climate of work, help is completely needed. But we want to move you towards something extremely beneficial towards you so that you will be okay in the long haul,
Mm-hmm.
and then move that space for additional individuals who need the same help that you needed at one time. So
Right.
we do have a program that you enter into. If you're not open to coming into our program, we do have additional help and resources as well. So like, hey, that's just not my thing right now. My mind is just not, I'm not trying to do a career. I'm not trying to do a career path. I just really just need some resources for food or a box of food. We will most definitely accommodate that as well.
Mm-hmm. But the fact that you're actually encouraging them to start again and get a career path, or some people are in situations where um, if they were trying to find employment, they're having difficulty because they didn't get their high school diploma. So your organization is helping them get their GED. Is that correct?
Correct. We do help get GEDs as well, but there are some that are out there like, look, I'm such and such age. I just can't go back that far back. And
Mm-hmm.
so we do have career paths that we can point you to that that you don't need a GED or a high school diploma,
Mm-hmm.
And so we have people that do research for us. We have a lot of people in the trenches, volunteers, so the majority of our funds can go to our participants.
Mm-hmm.
And we're digging out all the possibilities for the clients and the participants so that they can be happy.
Yeah, yeah, and feel safe. Yeah, feel
Right.
like they're just not another number. They're actually have someone that's actually cares that they succeed. That's really important, you know, um, because nobody just wakes up one day and say, "Oh, I want to be hunting for food. I want to be hunting for housing. I want to be trying to get some money to get my utilities." I mean, people want to have that stability, but circumstances, whether they be, like I said, from a storm or whatever, or whether they be just because of the inequalities that exist in areas of this country, they just don't have the same opportunities. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand, and they want to, you know, um, criticize or want to make comments that absolutely are not, first off, they're not positive comments, but it's because they don't really understand what's going on. And,
True.
we want to help you get informed as to why some of these circumstances happen, because some communities, the jobs are so far away, and then they have children, and they've got to put them in daycare, and everything's so expensive. It's really difficult for people. Everybody doesn't make six figures, and so we got to look at the realities of what our economy and where our economy is right now, and people are falling through the cracks.
That
Um,
is true. That is true
mhm,
because
yeah,
right now where the issue is basically childcare and
mhm,
actually finding a sustainable job. And
right,
we have career AI pilot as well, who basically applies for you while you're sleeping. So
mhm,
just a small bio, you put in your bio, and then they're applying for tons of jobs for you while you're asleep because we know that that's a full time job, right? When
right,
you're applying, when you don't have a job, it's like having a job on top of having a job because you're constantly applying.
mhm,
It's like you get this automated message that says, "Hey, we went a different route. Hey, we're not going to move forward with your resume or with your application." And that can get extremely frustrating
mhm.
while you already don't have a job.
Right, right, right. Disappointing and discouraging too. So wow, that is so innovative to have this AI, you know, filling out these applications. That means you could get a lot of
Yes.
them, and your chances of finding work gets increased exponentially just because
Yes.
of the number of applications that can be filled out in a short period of time. Wow, that is really great.
We're just trying to move with the times, and we're trying
Mhm,
to wrap our hands around the participants, and we hear their needs. We don't just spend 5 minutes with you to try to figure out, to try to give you a band-aid.
mhm,
We spend as much time as we need to. I know it's a comfortability type of situation as well. We want our participants to feel comfortable knowing that they can trust us, and we're just here to help them.
mhm,
So
mhm.
it's always a wide range. It's never a one size fit all. Never.
Right, right, right. And I think that's one of the major problems, because when the legislation is written, it's written like everybody is the same and all everybody's circumstances are the same, and it's one size fits all. And if you don't fit in that square, you're more round, you're going to have more difficulties, and then there's no options. If you do have the difficulties, they just want to
Right.
say, oh, you just don't want to do anything, or you're this or you're that, and start coming up with their negative opinions, when a majority of them that are in there making this legislation has never even been in that position. It's really hard for you to know how to write legislation when you haven't experienced anything. If you're a millionaire, you don't know that life,
At
and
all.
you don't even know where to begin to find answers. And so I'm just telling it like it is.
It's the
and
truth.
and you're just sitting up there writing laws just to get through, because the people that you represent are saying you need to do this, you need to do this, but you haven't asked anyone. Maybe sometimes good leadership knows when they have reached their peak, and ask others who have experience to advise. And so get some people who know what's going on the ground, and ask them, like the legislation you have worked with the state. You know, uh,
And I've run into a lot of that
yeah,
when we
yeah,
were doing these bills, the people who are taking the surveys, the people who were doing like just when you're working in that lobbying type of sector,
hmm,
it's so many people that you run up against that has a very high position with these with the bills being crafted and done and create. They have no clue.
right.
They have no clue. So how are they writing these bills for us?
Based on their opinion, and it's biased. And so we end up with things, you know, legislation that doesn't actually really help the people they say they're trying to help. There's more hurdles, there's more pain, there's more frustration than is ever needed. Get
Correct.
someone who knows what's going on and let them help you, you know, pay them to consult. I think we would all appreciate you using our tax dollars to get the consultants who have this knowledge to come in and meet with the legislatures, get that knowledge, get that information, and so you can write legislation that actually works, that actually helps, that actually builds up. that actually empowers. That would be a great idea. Listen to what I'm saying, because I've seen it in corporations most of my work career. And when you don't know, you don't know, and then you want to pretend that you know because of the position you're in, that is not leadership.
Right.
And it does not help anybody in
It
the
doesn't.
community.
It hasn't helped.
Yeah, yeah. It
Look
doesn't
at
help.
what's going on. It's not helping.
It's not helping, and people are being harmed. And yes, we are our brother's keeper. And you know what? If you have any kind of belief in the Creator and what He is expecting us to do, you're going to begin answering for some of the things that you have done knowingly, knowing that you have just done things to harm the least that are out there. It
Correct.
is our responsibility to have a helping hand for the least that are out there. And so I think you need a attitude adjustment, some changes in how you do things. You're getting paid tax dollars that we are paying. I think you ought to be thinking about, since they're paying me, maybe I should do something that helps the people that pay me. How about that? That would be great. I know you're
Oh,
getting
yeah.
your pockets lined with
That's
other
too much
things,
like right.
but people need you to do the right thing. Okay, I'm sorry, I was on my soapbox for a moment. But I just see the need, and it's just it's disturbing. It's saddening to see
You're right.
that this attitude that, like, they just don't even care. That is just it's beyond frustrating.
They
It's
don't care. They
absolutely
don't
sad.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you elaborate on the impact of government provided benefits for low income families, health and well being?
Well, I wish I could elaborate even more, but the lack of the resources that are out there as far as government wise is why Kennedy's Calling was created. Um, the long demeaning lines that you have to stand in, the
Mm-hmm.
clear disrespect, the horrible customer service,
Mm-hmm.
the way people are treated and talked to, and I've seen people walk away from those lines in tears. The long, thick applications, and people are not tech savvy, so they don't know how to get on the internet to fill out these long applications. Just everything that I know and I felt my people going through. That's why I created Kennedy's Calling. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to elaborate on that, in that area, I can say, hey, it's a consistent. Um, it's consistent. It's in the same place. Everybody knows where they are. Everybody knows, what you're gonna run into when you go there. But I don't know if I can elaborate on the government's programs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if they're just, I feel like the workers are burnt out. And they have cases after case, so they just breeze through them. They don't give the the special touches that's needed,
Right,
because you
right.
never know what that family is going through.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the problem, that, what I kind of see, there's misconceptions around the participants in the programs, you know, and those misconceptions of who the applicants are, and what they've been through, or this all of these different things, which shouldn't even matter. They're just in need, you
Right.
know. That's what the issue is. They're in need. Your misconceptions, your thoughts, your opinions, when you don't know the full story, um, I don't think that helps. So you know those misconceptions are around those participants in the programs, similar to your program. Um, you know, how does that affect those that are, coming in to get help?
Well, they're already beat down to the utmost. They don't feel like they deserve any help by the time they get to me. And
Mhm.
it's a lot of things that we do have to work through because of them just feeling like that. Like that's a very harsh way of thinking and looking at things. I know my people do hold on to a lot of past trauma and history that goes
Mhm.
beyond their life,
Mhm.
generational history.
Yeah.
One of my participants is, um, well, it was, what is it called? The Central Park in New York.
Mhm. Right.
Her family, her family was one of the families who lived at the before it was City Park. It was a thriving community,
Mhm.
and that community was taken away by eminent domain.
Mhm.
And so she feels as if she works towards something, it'll just be taken away by the government or eminent domain or anything like that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
she has this block where, if I do anything, it's not going to be worth it at the end of the day.
That is, and that is not what the government is supposed to be about. It's about helping. That's why it's here. It's
Right.
supposed to help and be the gap while people are getting going towards their dream, and something happens, and or they go through a trauma, or they go through some natural disaster, or whatever the circumstances. It doesn't even matter. They
Hmm.
need assistance to get on their feet. They need helping hands. That's what the tax dollars are supposed to be used for, to be
Right.
helping hands to help the citizens of the nation, so until they are able to stand up. This, pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps is just, I don't know where they got that idea from, but it doesn't work. And to be honest, they didn't get pulled up by their own bootstraps. They
Right.
had a hand that was held out there because of the good old boy network that just pulled them in whether they wanted to come in or not, because their
Right.
granddaddy was there or their grandma was there. And so we need to get to the truth and stop all of the games that are being played and the politicking that's going on. People's lives are at stake. And like I said, if you have any kind of belief in God, you know what you're doing is wrong. You know what you're doing is harming the least of them. You know that you are now out there feeding that widow or that widower or that orphan or that senior citizen, that elder, that those that are disabled. You know you're not doing your job,
Right.
and there will be a time to answer. You think you're getting away, but there is a judgment day, and
I wish that scared people.
I know they're not scared, but you know what? It's a long time. Eternity is a long time. And
That's true.
especially seeing that you don't even have an option to change your mind then.
Yeah, it's too
And
late.
and everybody has relatives. They all have mothers, they have grandmothers, they have sisters, they have brothers, they have children. Do you not care what happens to them? And if you do, think of those others as if it was your family. We're divided so the point we don't realize we are all family. There's one earth, one people, one race called the human one, and all this other stuff with this division, that has nothing to do with the purposes of our lives. And
Right.
we need to get our head straight as to why we are sucking breath every day. It's to be able to fulfill the purpose of why you're here anyway, why you were designed, why you were created, and why you were gifted with specific gifts. It wasn't to just get rich, it wasn't to tear other people down, it wasn't to beat somebody at the voting booth. It
Mm.
was to make sure that all of humanity and creation was treated well. I'm sorry, I just had to get
Well,
there.
that's where the greed is, right? It's the greed is basically they don't put laws because I've been in this space. They don't put laws out there to benefit the people or their constituents. What they do is they go find another that will say, hey, thank you for helping me when you helped me. I'll just just because you helped me, I'll just vote for you.
Mhm.
And they don't even know what they're voting for. They have no clue, right? So
Right.
because they don't know what they're voting for and they don't know what they're getting into, it's like that's just making it worse for, you know, for us, because we're like, nope, we're gonna make you put in laws for us, do things for us. And they're like, nope, how about I'll just go get someone else, a whole nother group of people to vote what I want them to vote. And then what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate that that's the way things are. So, what are the major challenges faced by the recipients in your programs when they come in? What seems to be their major problems, and how are some of them addressed?
Um, the major problems is actually finding a sustainable job that they'll be able to even afford a 1 bedroom apartment.
Hmm.
Another one is childcare, because that has changed rapidly, and mental health is definitely a thing. And we do a lot of peer support. So free of charge, of course, our services are, and because we have funding to help in that direction, in that area, we can get you
Hmm.
a peer support, and that can basically walk you through everything that you need, applications, help wise. I can't really say one main specific thing, because I'll say one thing today and then tomorrow I get calls for tons of other things.
Right.
But the main thing is people really want to work. They really do. They want to feel like a human being, and they want to
Hmm.
feel like, just because I worked 80 hours, 90 hours, and as soon as I get paid, my whole entire check goes to an apartment,
Yeah. Yeah.
or my whole entire check goes to the light bill, or
Hmm.
the internet, or the cell phone bills, like things that they need to be feel like they're human and feel like they're somebody in the world. It's
Right.
becoming so expensive, it's becoming so much. And then the programs that were put in place for individuals to have those things, they're being cut back, they're being sliced in half, they're being removed.
Hmm.
So we're trying our best to get the funding that we need to compensate for those government funded programs that are no longer around.
Well, last time I checked, I think the Congress got a raise. That's interesting because the minimum wage, the federal minimum wage hasn't changed in what, 75 years?
Oh my goodness.
And do you know how many times the economy has gone up and up and up and up,
Mm,
and yet the minimum wage is that low? And I don't think, your billionaires uh, can't afford to increase the pay for the people that are working for them. And I don't think it's going to affect them.
right.
Let's just tell the truth. There's more money there than they'll spend in a lifetime, and you certainly can't take it with you. And helping others to at least just sustain food and a house and electricity and be able to pay for daycare or send their child to school, I don't think that's too much to ask, seeing that they have helped you become so rich. So I think we need to start thinking about the ones that are not being able to be a part of this system, because you haven't even thought about the fact the wages need to be higher. Come on. I think we need to think about that. The wages need to be higher.
Right.
So do your job and
Exactly.
understand what really needs to be done. Because going out here, well, I just can't get into the politics of this. But some of the wasted time that our tax
Mhm.
dollars are paying, having these stupid spats about nothing. And one of the biggest things you need to be thinking about are all of these people who are still at the minimum wage, and some states had to go, you know understood that their citizens were important, and they went ahead and raised it but it's state by state. This should be federal. It should be
Right.
around the country. There's no excuse in this. And we're talking about we're number one. When you're the least of yours is not taken care of, you're not number one.
Exactly.
That's not number one. That means everyone is taken care of. Everyone is able to have a dream. Everyone is able to achieve. And so we really need to be thinking about that.
Exactly. We do.
Are there any specific age groups of the recipients?
We do help a lot of teen mothers. I have a very soft spot for teen moms. No matter what, they will not get turned away. I make sure that they are with a partner with a lot of other nonprofits if we don't have space, because we typically run out of space a lot when it comes to teen moms. But I make sure that they are well taken care of if I do pass them off. So anywhere from teenagers to senior citizens, we're here to help them.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's really, they're already overwhelmed. And just having that kind voice, that hand that's sticking out there saying, I'm here. I'm going to help you walk this walk until you're able to stand, you're able to run. Oh my gosh. That's a beautiful visual. You know that?
Right. I wish someone was like me, was around, you know, when I was a teen mom, because I was a teen mom. That's why and a single mom for a very long time until my life changed. Right. And everybody don't find their Prince Charming. Thank God I did, but he was the driving force behind me to make this happen for individuals that I just felt so much passion for.
Right.
He was the passion behind, well, he named our child. So he was the passion behind the child and the name for the child. And that really made me horn in on what I was missing as a teen mom. You want to do it the right way. Of course, life happens.
Right.
And for whatever reason. And when you finally get into that space, when you feel like you're doing it the right way, then you're like, oh my God, my kids missed out on so much. I missed out on so much, like just being away from your child, trying to, with that hustle and bustle. Like, does rent really have to be this high? Does benefits really have to be unreachable? Does, driving a car, do we have to get taxed over and over again?
Right.
I just registered my vehicle, and next thing you know, it's a long list of tax. I'm like, okay, you get taxed every year, then you get taxed every time you get gas, then you get taxed every time you ride the highway. Then you get, like, it's who's winning here?
What, the top 1%? That's it.
Exactly. Like every time, even when you go to pay, like, it's not bad enough that we have to work, right? So let's say we work, you give us a check, right? 50 to 40 to 30% of that is already gone by the time you get it, right? Not to mention the same person that you work for basically is the same person you're paying your rent and mortgages to, right? They're all the same. Honestly, let's be real. And then when you're buying a vehicle, it's that same 1% you're actually getting that vehicle from. When you're buying gas, it's that same 1% that you're putting your gas in. So you're working to just pay them back, to pay them.
Right. And for them to have more than what they ever need. And
for us not to have enough.
And for someone else to not have enough. If you really think about how that is all been orchestrated, the whole thing started out with a platform that was totally upside down.
Right.
And, if you, like I said, if you're a believer, the Creator created more than enough for everyone to have. And yet, we have those that are barely getting by. Why? Because some decided, I want to suck it all up so that I can just have it so I can look at it, but I don't need it because I can't spend it all. And I'm certainly not, giving it out to anybody. Just think about that mentality. Think about that thought pattern. What is that? It's certainly not understanding that humanity, we're here for everyone, making sure that everything on the earth is healthy and everything on the earth is plentiful, and we're not poisoning things so that I can make more money. You're not, creating, bad foods and bad pharmaceuticals so I can make more money. I mean, you have to. I'm just going to bring it to where it is. You need to check your inner spirit because there's something that needs to be adjusted when you think it's okay to allow others to go hungry or can't provide for their families, and you have so much you don't even know what to do with it. You want to start building life out in space because you're bored now because you don't know what to do, and uh, and you don't have anything that really excites you. Well, how about going in and making a difference in communities, making a difference in the world, doing something that is actually benefiting somebody other than you. Can you imagine that?
Right.
I had a guest on here about reimagining your life. And we kind of concentrated on those that have gone through trauma and gone through situations. But I want to speak to all of you. You may not hear it, but maybe you will, because I'm going to be bold enough to say it. You billionaires, how about you reimagine your life that you actually go and build total communities? You go and build countries. You go in and not because you want something in return, but
Right.
because you care about humanity and you are thankful for the blessings that you have in your storehouse. Think about that. Talk to a therapist. What is the need for trying to have $1 trillion? For what purpose? You're going to start your own world? What's
Right.
the purpose? The need is already here.
See,
Talk
and
to someone. Yeah.
that's a wonderful thought, right? But and then knowing that they get a hold to humanity at such a young age, they're allowing you to put your children in school at the age of 3, preschool, right? Like, I think it starts young with poison in our brains, with
Mm-hmm.
preschool. Like, they don't like us. So why would you want your kids to be educated by them? I used to grow up. I would grow up and it was certain kids in the neighborhood that was actually going to homeschool, and I was like, oh my God, they're weird. But now that I'm looking at it and I'm like, that's not a bad idea. Homeschool is not a bad idea because that 1% is controlling what your kids learn and what your kids are doing in those schools.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you start to get a certain age, you just conform. You just fall into the matrix. You just do what you get on that hamster wheel and you run. And if you don't run fast enough, they're gonna squeeze it to where you keep the minimum wage low, you keep the pay low, and then you raise everything while Congress and this person and that person is getting raises, and everybody is just running on this hamster wheel to try to catch up.
Yeah.
I think it starts very early.
And this is something that is always I've never understood. If you say that you have a Department of Education, why isn't the same curriculum at every school in the nation? Because we're all paying taxes to be a part of that, the education that's coming from the Department of Education. Tell me why in the world you have to have different curriculum in different places when everybody should be able to get the same school. They should be able to get the same books. They get the same training and teaching. They get the same opportunities taught to them. And please put financial literacy in there so that people understand the banking system and know early in life, that is a skill you're going to use forever. So, I mean, there's just things that we just have not done that are really critical. And I don't even know what our, representatives are even thinking anymore, because it's not about actually changing things so that it improves the lifestyles of all of the citizens. If you don't have all of the citizens in your mind when you are making legislation, then you missed the boat.
Oh
You
yeah.
haven't done your job. You haven't succeeded. You haven't done what you needed to do. And you certainly have disappointed those that have voted for you and expected you to do better. How about you do the right thing? The
Have you ever
curriculum
heard?
can be the same. And then
Yeah.
there's no reason for anyone not to be prepared and able to do the things that they need to do.
Have you ever heard of
Um,
the school Dunbar?
mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
heard of that school?
Yeah.
Many moons ago, that school produced the most professors, Ivy League education, and they were learning things in this little small school. And the government didn't like that, right? They
Mm-hmm.
basically dismantled the school because it was bringing generational wealth off from this
Mm-hmm.
one small, one room school. And
Mm-hmm.
so, because of that, they are like, nope, we have to control what is being taught in these schools. We have to control what's being done in these schools. Out of this one small school with limited resources, they had very limited resources in this school.
Mm-hmm.
They produced the most Ivy League generational wealth, basically.
Right.
I mean, pilots, doctors, professors. It was amazing.
And they should have just found out what the curriculum was and copied that pattern so that everyone can be that successful. But oh no, we couldn't
Mhm.
do that because we got other issues we need to work out.
Right.
Well, we're getting close to times. I just want to say programs exist to meet the needs and extend the helping hand, counseling those that need a new start in life, assisting with housing options, providing food security, and fostering health and financial equity. It is a lifeline for millions. I mean, we're not talking about a couple people. We are talking about millions of people, and it contributes significantly towards mitigating hunger and poverty. And yet, like any extensive program, it has its limitations and needs and constant revision and updates to stay efficient and relevant. I would like you to tell our listeners how to how they can help an organization like yours. How can they contact you?
Definitely contact me. All of my information is on our webpage, kencall.org. Email me. My admin will always be available at info@kencall.org.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, we need all the help that we can get to make sure that we don't turn anyone away, which we
Mm-hmm.
try very hard not to. Soft, warm handovers is what we do, but we can always make sure that you get some sort of support to lead you into the right direction. So just be
Yeah.
ready for that first foot toward success, and we're here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like I said, there are people out there that can afford, something as generous and as, loving and helping as what you are doing. We need you to be supported so we can um, multiply you into other states because
I know.
there's that need is everywhere, and you need to clone Kennedy calling and put it in other states, because there are needs around this nation. There are needs in every community that you can think of, and just being that helping hand, giving people the opportunity to start over, giving people an opportunity to be able to stand on their feet, like you said, giving them the opportunity to feel whole and and cared about, and feeling like they are part of this nation, that they're just not forgotten people. They're part of us, and we care what happens to them. I mean,
Yes.
this is what we need. We need at least a good 100 Kennedy calling all over.
And we're ready to get cloned. We're ready.
Yeah.
We just need
Yeah.
we need the help.
This would be a great opportunity for those that have those abundant funds to get a hold of Kennedy calling and see if we can put it in other communities that have this need. Thank you so much
Thank you for
for
having me.
being with us today. Thank you so much for your heartfelt work that you are doing and making a difference in your community in Colorado. I have cousins and family there, so I'm happy you're there.
Well, thank you. Send them to volunteer. We need their help.
Yes, and volunteers too. Yes.
Yes.
Open up your hearts and be volunteers. So I just want to thank everyone that was watching and listening to A Sharp Outlook today. We're here every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time. We're here to educate, to inform, to dispel misinformation, and to help you to become your best self. Join us again next week. Thank you for being here. And as always, stay informed. I want to thank you for joining us on A Sharp Outlook. We have been informed and energized to take the next steps. We have posted links to websites and videos to learn more on today's topic. Please join us again next week for another thought-provoking conversation right here on K4 HD Radio and Talk 4 TV. Listen to the podcast on all the podcast apps. And until next week, stay informed.